Alright guys, hello and welcome back to the next episode of our Konnersport MyTeam career mode race number 11, I believe it is, in Austria. And then we have Silverstone in the next episode. At the time of recording this, we have an update for the SERPs launcher. I'm not the only person that has been having the issue where you close out the game and the launcher just gets stuck on the loading bar on the bottom of the launcher. And just gets stuck trying to reset your game file to where you have to delete the unzipped file and then unzip the SERPs launcher again and reinstall your mods. So hopefully that will be improved throughout the remainder of the season. We're going to try it. We're using the SERPs launcher in this episode, and then I realized that one of the tire compound mods that I wanted to use doesn't actually have a file path for the SERPs launcher use. It just has the files in the folder. So whoever, I don't remember the name, but the mod will be in the next episode in Silverstone. I thought about doing it for 2 episodes, but I didn't want to try and experiment with trying to use the launcher and install those files manually. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get right into it, as I don't believe we have any driver talks. We're going to go into our activities. Do I have any? We're going to go in here first. Messages, points on the board, winning our rivalry, mechanical failure from last episode. Okay, that's from last race. Owner training, any points? No, we do not have any points right now. We are leaning towards engineering and personnel. We need to work on corporate. That's probably where our next point is going to go to. Fan rating is still sitting at a level 3. We're going to take a look at our accolades, rivalries. We are ahead of who's our rivalry with? Oh, Mercedes. Yeah. So we are ahead of Mercedes in that rivalry. And here are our results. 2 points between Calimaire and Aiden Jackson from that result in the last race. Mercedes is still close behind us at 162 as we're sitting in P4 in the constructor standings. And then they're sitting P7, P8 in the driver standings with 5 UK drivers in the top 10. And looking pretty good. Lando Norris still fighting Verstappen in this first season. 4 points. So we go in here, component management, and it was a control electronics part that we had go out. Why are you 79, 89? Yeah, I'll go with the new part there. 78 on the new part. 75, we'll leave that. 70, we'll leave that. 81, yeah, we'll leave that. So fitting the parts that we need. Research. We'll go in here. We have plenty of research points. Another chassis upgrade. I kind of want to start working on durability towards the end of the season, because we're in the latter half. Let's see here. That one's not expensive. We'll do 1 for now in durability and go from there. We'll only have 2 in durability. Aero and powertrain, energy store cells. So we'll do that. We'll do that one. Research for that one. And then development. We have 1 million for development, so hopefully we can get more stuff going pretty soon. So trying to save up some money there. You're almost to level 4. Finances. I'm dragging out a little bit. I'm sorry about that. Let's see here. All right, let's just go down the timeline. Department focus. How do we how are we on staffing right now? 261 out of 265. We need more slots. Facility improvements here. All right. Increase morale. Everything's so expensive in here, I forgot. Ugh. So much for that. All right. Development, expansion, quality of life. Development, expansion, powertrain, durability. Those are the two that we need. Powertrain and durability. Yes, we do. We have chassis and aero. So we'll do that. Still the improvements. We'll go powertrain. They're the same price, but we'll go powertrain, so we'll take that. Save a handful of money, go through our trainings. Facility costs, reduced running costs for your corporate facility. Yes, let's do that. Fan outreach. Let's focus on aero and chassis. We need to. Those are running double parts. Powertrain development. We'll do that one. Durability focus, powertrain focus, aero focus. We're all 50. All right, we can. We don't have anything for 2 days. All right, let's leave it at that and go from there. I did some trial runs. Okay.
Hey, Chief, engineering need your attention on something.
I did some trial running for times and difficulty in Austria, and honestly, it feels a little bit different than last year's game. I don't know how I feel about it. Basically, I think it's, let's see, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 7, 8, those turns. I don't know how I feel about those guys. Research. Which one failed? Didn't I have one fail? That was it. Come on, dude. Now we won't get that till after this race. I think that's how it was beforehand. 84,000. We don't have money, and we have all of those chassis parts. And we're gonna have to turn those focusing. Turn our focus over. Rear floor under tray. Who do we want to put it on? We'll put it on Mayor. We'll go Jackson today. And we'll drive as Jackson. Not too different. Just a little bit of aero difference. We'll have to wait for those. Yeah, we're really not doing great in the engineering department. All right, those done. All right.
Hey, Chief. As you'll have noticed, we suffered from significant wear on one of our parts during the last race.
All right.
Please check the component management screen and replace any heavily damaged parts.
All right, we have driver talks with Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Finally. So with that, we'll see you guys for the race here in Austria.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of around 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill of turn 3. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Mayer, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and Tsunoda, Leclerc, Russell, Jackson, and Nico Hülkenberg, Sainz, Stroll, Esteban Ocon, and Gasly, Behrman, Piastri, Alex Albon, and Fernando Alonso, Hadjar, Bortoletto, Doohan, and Liam Lawson rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And alongside me today, a man small in stature but big on comment, Anthony Davidson. Hello. In Formula One, Ant, we take every race as it comes, and there's always another race next week. But some milestones are worth thinking about. And this, double figures now for our new team.
Yeah, the team's 10th appearance. They've done well to this point. They're getting their foot through the door, but there's a lot more to come. Much tougher tracks where you've got to get even more performance out of your car.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out. So as all the cars take their positions on the grid, the teams will be hoping their strategies pay off for them in today's race. But the question I'm asking is which teams have got it right and which ones have got it horribly wrong?
All right, here we are. Our drivers pulling up to the grid slot, driving as Jackson. Mayer finishing and qualifying ahead of Jackson. We see the Mercedes of, I believe, George Russell with that blue helmet. It's the Alpine and the Visa Cash App RB. Pull up to their grid slots. 5 red lights are coming on. A little bit of a slow start for our race. A little bit of a long light. So we're off to a decent start. The Ferrari of Leclerc covering off Russell. So we're holding onto the outside lane, moving up against the the Ferrari. Gaining that position on Leclerc, pushing up against Tsunoda up in his gearbox. You get a little bit of a glance of the Red Bull and V-Carb liveries here at the start of the race, as we see 3 wide and a little bit of damage there up ahead between Norris, Verstappen, and Hamilton. Jackson up against Antonelli. No, Antonelli's behind him. That's Tsunoda on the right side, who's slightly ahead there in P5. We're going to outbrake Tsunoda to try to overtake him here down the hill. Not quite enough. Tires rubbing on this track. Very close, tight corners and a very quick lap. As practice and qualifying felt very comfortable. So we're looking forward to a good race today as we're P6 ahead of Antonelli. Antonelli trying to make a move on the inside there, and doesn't have enough push on the car to get past us as we're looking to try to make an overtake on Tsunoda into turn one. Another little bit of contact on the left rear of Tsunoda's tire. Calimere P4, Hamilton P3. So we're still fighting this Red Bull up this hill. He has a lot of power on him. So we get an overhead view of this Red Bull. The blacked out Red Bull. Now we're going to be running the Red Bull livery for the rest of the season. And then we're going to be running a different livery for next season. So we're kind of excited for that. Antonelli losing position to Leclerc. A couple of different position changes in the backfield. So we're going through the grid. Russell down to P9. Sainz P10 on the inside of Russell, looking to make that overtake. Piastri back to P11. Stroll P12. Just going through the grid here. We're going to be going back to the V-carbs. And they're going to have a similar blacked out livery. I'm not quite sure if it was by the same guy. But we will have those mods in the description as always, as we're on board with Behrman trying to make a move on Albon. Alpine sitting in the back of the field. But Gasly up P15. Doohan back in P18. Here is our V-carb liveries. Pretty similar. The text isn't too, well, sponsors are the main issue there. As we're moving up towards Norris and Verstappen. Norris on the inside. Reminder of 2025. The season between Norris and Verstappen in Austria. As we're back on board with Jackson trying to make a move on Tsunoda as Hamilton and Mayer are fighting it up ahead. We brake late, almost come in contact with Hamilton's car. A little bit of a tire scrub there. Just this corner, just a lot of contact on this corner. As we're looking to put pressure on Hamilton now, as he's trying to make a move on our teammate coming through the downhill section. As we're already 3 laps in, almost 4 laps now. As this front wing angle is pretty nice. Tsunoda looking to try to make another move, hopefully up the hill. The grid is starting to break up. You see Norris and Verstappen are 3.6 seconds ahead of Calimere already, as we're 4 laps in now. And I made a little bit of a cut there and a mistake of trying to record some overtakes. I didn't know where the overtakes were, so we made that cut. So we make the move on the inside of Hamilton, but he still has the pressure on as he really books it down this hill, try to close in on Mayer, but he can't cut to the inside because we're right there. No contact between us and Hamilton. We do push Hamilton over to the outside of the track, so he does lose a little bit of ground there. As Leclerc P7, Tsunoda P6. And this top 10 is looking very interesting between Red Bull, Konnersport, Ferrari, and Mercedes. Moving on to the uphill section of lap 5, we finally make a move on Calimere, as Norris and Verstappen are now 4.4 seconds ahead as they're fighting, trying to close the gap now, putting the pressure down. Calimere now has to defend against Lewis Hamilton. Tsunoda still P6, Leclerc P7, both Mercedes still sitting comfortably in the top 10, and Sainz is holding that last spot. Moving on to lap 8, we're on board with Leclerc. We have Tsunoda, Antonelli, and Russell fighting for positions ahead. Looks like Antonelli is on the right side, Tsunoda's pushing on the left side. They're going to be 3 wide coming into turn 3. The perfect onboard view from Leclerc. It's going to be a spin for Tsunoda, and that's going to be the first safety car of this race, if at all. There's going to be other ones as we go through the grid, try to catch up to Tsunoda. And he's just waiting there on track. We're going to be going over to another onboard. This time it's going to be Tsunoda himself coming up the hill. See what kind of mistake happened here as we were on the onboard from the cars behind. Piles in behind Antonelli. Uses the toe. And the other Mercedes just slips in on the inside. Contact on the front right and then putting too much power down, and that causes Tsunoda to spin out. This is going to be the first safety car, or the safety car of the race, as we're under a yellow flag conditions now, and we drop back a little bit too far behind Verstappen and Norris. But this is going to force practically everybody into a 2-stop being this early. as we see Hamilton file in behind. We had to slow down because we were going over the speed limit for the safety car. Mayer staying out, Norris staying out, Verstappen staying out. Hamilton moving in behind us. We're going to be going to a hard, medium compound strategy. You can see, you can hear the engine wear on our components, and that is our main combustion engine. So we're hoping not to have a retirement, as we have an issue with the front left tire. Hamilton still doesn't manage to get ahead of us, so they had a slow stop as well. Going through the grid here to see who else comes into the pits. As Tsunoda is sitting in last place, and several teams are backed up. Doohan apparently had a 10-second penalty, and I believe Leclerc had a 10-second penalty for a not following the yellow flag, but I could be wrong. I don't remember because we were under the safety car conditions here, and we were trying to get back on the grid, trying to take care of our tires until we get to the rest of the pack before it goes into the animated safety car as we go through the rest of the grid. Verstappen staying on those hards, staying on a one stop. So is Mayer, is Norris, Gasly, the Alpine up in a P4, most likely staying out. Behrman P5, Albon P6, Jackson P7, Hamilton P8, Antonelli P9, and Piastri rounding out the top 10. Pretty much mixing up the grid because a lot of those teams double stacked under this safety car to try to get both of their drivers up into the points. As we're on board with, well, in view of Lewis Hamilton, who is currently sitting in P8. A very interesting and very competitive race so far, as we had a lot of contact with Tsunoda. We had a little bit of contact with Hamilton, and we're gonna have to defend against him after this safety car restart. And I've been really liking this race, this game's races so far this season. And it turned out, after recording and editing this video, at the time of recording this, we had the post-safety car lap down bug, is what we're just gonna say it is. I know at the end of the video, I said if you guys knew what it was in the comments, please let me know. But we did figure it out as we're putting the commentary on the race at the very end of our editing, and that's going to be the situation after the safety car period ends. So in the next race and the next few races until we get another patch, we're going to be turning the safety car off, which will make for a very interesting Silverstone Grand Prix, especially with the tire compound testing that we're going to be doing as a part of a storyline for our Season 2 races. We're coming out of the safety car now, as we're coming through, I believe this is turn 7? Yeah, turn 7, 8, and then the last two, 9, 10, as the safety car starts to pull away. Taking care of these medium tires as best as possible, as we're looking for that green flag. The safety car is going into the pits, and Verstappen has the start. We're switching over to onboard with Mayer to see how she can make progress against Verstappen at this safety car restart. All cars filing pretty normally, as we're trying to get as close as we can to Albon. The Williams up into P6, and it was kind of surprising seeing Alpine, Haas, Williams in the top 10, especially after this first part of the race. As just being calm, trying not to make any mistakes right now, because it is a safety car restart. We don't want to pull another safety car as we're going through the grid. Carlos Sainz just outside of the top 10, P11 there. And I believe the next transition we're going to make will show the top 10 on the lead lap, and then 11 and onward will be down the lap, as the time will be different for whoever's in P11. You see Hajar and Tsunoda making a fight through Sector 2. The two blacked out Red Bulls coming through the grid. The dark blue on the V-carb looks really good, and the dark red, really nice way to differentiate the teams. So props to the mod creator for those. and it's gonna stick. That's why I chose him. As we see Behrman making a late pit stop after that safety car period, and that is the situation here. You see Sainz and Leclerc lap down, so literally a lap after the safety car ends, everybody else who is not in the top 10 is a lap down. So we're switching over to Hamilton, making a move on the inside in turn 3. We brake late to hold on to P5 for now. It's going to be a race to the next set of pit stops, see if we can gain positions or not. Gasly up into P4, running very well on the power as he makes a little bit of a mistake. I thought it was a lockup there from him, but we hold the outside line, and we're yet again back behind Callie Mayer, who is in P3, who's yet to pit stop. She stayed out as we're moving on to lap 15. We're going to try to make a move on Mayer this lap. Coming through the top hill, section 2, we make a move on the inside. Mayer can't really fight it, but she is putting in effort. And this is just adding on to the team rivalry. A little bit of contact there coming into turn 4 as we're going down the hill. And we managed to pull away from Callie Mayer for now. She's still trying to put the pressure on, but Hamilton is closing in. You can see the gap between Verstappen and Norris, 1.7. The gap between Verstappen and Jackson is 3.8, so just under 4 seconds as we're moving on to the next lap, or next few laps, lap 20. The gap has increased 6.4 between the top 2 and 2.9, so we've closed the gap on Verstappen. But Hamilton this time has made a move. Antonelli Piastri also, as I believe Callie Mayer made a pit stop. I don't quite remember. I didn't see it when I was going through my recording, or I must have missed it as we're going through the grid yet again. Verstappen in the pits. Mayer in the pits, that's where it was. We were just forgot to mark my screen where the pit stop was. But going through the rest of the grid, you see 11.3 on Leclerc. That's just how far behind. It just mixes up the grid. As you guys can see, we're going through. You can see different cars ahead and behind other cars as we see Tsunoda passing Verstappen, I believe it was. Hadjar's trying to make a move on a Bortoletto. So the back half of the grid is in order. It's just they're mixed in with the top 10. So they're getting hit with those blue flag markers, which is unfortunate. You see it moving out of the way of the Haas and Alpine of Behrman and Gasly. So those blue flag markers are really mixing up the grid. Nothing we can really do about it until we get the next patch. See Gasly trying to make a move on Behrman coming down the hill through sector 3, turn 9 and turn 10. Callie Mayer, a little bit of a no man's land there, as she's 6.6 behind Albon, and we're up into peak 2 currently. Sorry about that. 9.4 seconds and gaining on Norris as they have yet to go into the pits. 11.4 now as we're on lap 23. Ending lap 23, it is our turn to come into the pits. On to another set of mediums to wrap up this race. No pop tires on the way into the pits this time. I know last time, or 2 episodes ago in Spain, we had a puncture coming into the pits because we couldn't narrow down our tire pressures and wing setup for the tire life. So Verstappen moving up back to P2. We see him on the bottom of the screen, and we see the kick Sauber, or stake Sauber of, I believe, Hulkenberg. Yeah, it's gonna be Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Jackson, and then Bortoletto. So these guys are lapped. This is when I first noticed the bug for the safety car, because we were moving up, and then the icon on the top left changed to pass blue markers, or pass blue flag markers, or whatever it says. I don't quite remember. But we're just taking care of our tires until we get the real fight here. Hamilton is 3.5 seconds behind us as everybody is going through their pit stops. Just looking at the times here, Leclerc barely within the 1 second mark, but I believe Leclerc is lapped. You can see a yellow flag here, and that's going to be a retirement from one of the Aston Martins as we're coming through. We're going to be going back to an onboard. I believe it's going to be Esteban Ocon behind the Aston Martin of Stroll That's going to be an engine failure for Stroll and a bad area to slow down. Sector 2 downhill between laps 6 or turns 6 and 7, just causing a traffic jam. We see the traffic jam in time, so we make a move on the outside. We didn't get penalized for passing under yellow flag conditions, so, and none of those drivers were ahead of us anyways, so no harm in that. 10.8 seconds between Jackson and Verstappen as we're on lap 25. 6.4 is the gap between Hamilton and Jackson as well. Albon, Gasly, Piastri, Mayer back into the top 10 on P9. Behrman and Bortoleto is 1:15.7. So that gap has increased yet again. You see Stroll moving down the order. And if I didn't mention it before, I don't know if there was another patch between episodes, but the timing table is fixed. I don't know what I did necessarily, because this was a SERPs launcher episode. And so we see Jackson and Antonelli fighting for position, coming up the hill, taking a lot of curb there. He has the power, we have the faster tires. We get DRS, we get the move on him up into turn 3, but can we hold on to that as he's going to have the inside lane? And then Hamilton out of nowhere is right there next to us. So it's Antonelli, Hamilton, Piastri. They're all behind us. So it's a 4-man fight for the 3rd spot on the podium pretty much. And it's going to be like this for the remainder of the race. We just got to take care of our tires and push when we can, because it's a lot of points on the line, and we're trying to get Jackson ahead of Callie Mayer in the constructor standings, or in the driver standings. We move the cover off Hamilton. We're on board with Antonelli to see the battle ahead, and Piastri is close behind. You can see him in the mirrors as Antonelli is struggling to try to make a move or find an opening. As we're wrapping up lap 30, we're starting lap 31. And we're going to see Antonelli and Hamilton with a big toe to try to cover off Antonelli, but there was not that big enough a gap. They both make a move on us, but it's still Hamilton. We take a lot of curb. He forces us off track. It's going to be our 2nd warning, as we had a warning earlier in the race before the safety car. Hamilton moves to the outside lane. We cover him off again. A little bit of contact, taking that curve as best as we can and putting the power down to try to stay ahead. You can see that gap is increasing for now. But Piastri makes a move on Antonelli. You can see him on the timing table up into P5. Lap 32 now, the next lap. Hamilton looking to try to make another move here as he's less than a 1/10 of a second. Antonelli sitting back at P6. Callie Mayer back up to P7, who's 4 seconds and closing. You see her in the background there as we're looking to defend against Hamilton. Yet again, we're going over to Hamilton as the onboard driver. You can see how much pressure he's doing. I don't know what that kind of move was, but we're still trying to take care of those tires. As Hamilton's going to be looking to make a move here in Sector 2, maybe Sector 3. We take a little bit of a wide line there, and he gets the power down coming through turn 7 and 8. He makes the move into before turn 9. That's going to be Piastri on the inside of us. We cover him off on the apex as Hamilton moves up to P3. 26 seconds. 27 seconds now as we're still trying to fend off against Antonelli, who's making a move on us up into P4. A little bit of contact. Couldn't really hear it, but we are struggling to put the pressure down. Antonelli on the hard tires. You can see the McLaren of Piastri trying to make a move behind us. I believe he's on mediums as well. So I don't recall what tires Hamilton was on, but I believe he's on mediums. Then Piastri on mediums as well. No, Piastri is the one on hards, I believe. It's just trying to keep track of them is very difficult, especially at the height of the moment towards the end of this race as we are fighting. Hamilton P3, 28.2 to Verstappen, and then 4.4 to Norris, as Piastri and Antonelli are looking to make a move on Jackson. Callie Mayer still sitting back about 1.5 seconds. We make a mistake there hitting the gravel, and that gives Piastri an opportunity side by side. You can hear the contact as we're on board with Antonelli. He files in behind us to try to wait for a move. We end up going wide again here on this turn, trying to take care of our tires. He takes a lot of curb. And he could have moved to the inside to overtake us, but he just couldn't. As I believe Piastri made the same move that Hamilton did earlier in the race. We're on board with Callie Mayer here as we're moving on to the final lap. So Jackson's currently P5, Antonelli P6, Mayer P7. This is a fight for P5, P6. If Callie Mayer can make a move on Antonelli, that would be great for the team. Not great for Jackson because that would put them level on points. So Antonelli has to stay ahead of Callie Mayer as she makes the move on the outside of turn 3 coming up the hill. A Ferrari and Williams behind, just watching this battle. There's nothing they can do here on the last lap. Everybody's taking care of their tires as Callie Mayer made the move on Antonelli through turn 3. Can she have an opportunity against Jackson to increase her gap in the standings? As we take care of our tires and moving to the outside lane, trying to cover off as best as we can. She's making a move on the inside through sector 2. A little bit of contact there. We're still managing to hold on to our cars. She's looking for one last opportunity to overtake here before the final 2 corners. She goes for the inside and then she backs out. So that's going to be Callie Mayer P6 and Aiden Jackson P5. They're going to be level on points going into Silverstone and tire testing.
And here he comes. It's all go, go, go for Lando Norris as he takes the checkered flag and wins.
To witness such mastery of these conditions, these changeable conditions that we saw today, is very impressive indeed. So a huge congratulations to this driver for taking victory today.
From lights out to the checkered flag, this is what they're racing for. It's points and a trip to the podium. He holds the trophy aloft, and why shouldn't he? A richly deserved win today for Lando Norris. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
All right, there we have it. The results for an interesting race. Oscar Piastri getting a 10-second penalty, dropping down to P7 from P4, giving Aiden Jackson a win there. And I could have swore, I don't know. Oh, she must have passed him right at the end there of the race. So I don't know necessarily what happened. Everybody P11 down was 1 lap down. There was an early safety car, as you guys remember. And then when I went into my pit stop, I was coming up between the 2 Salbers, I think it was. And it showed everybody down a lap. But I'm not sure if that was a bug. I haven't, like, the only mod that I installed were the 2 Red Bull mods. And I hadn't changed any of the utility mods at all, from what we have in the description below. But there was talk of some race bug. I'm not sure what exactly happened. Oscar Piastri starting P16, getting P7, Behrman getting P8 from P15. Splitting the strategies there during the race weekend. Let's see, driver standings. Max Verstappen pulling ahead of, well, still ahead of Lando Norris. 15 points separates them. Lewis Hamilton third at 146, 40 points behind the leader. And George Russell is 20 points behind Lewis Hamilton. Piastri leading Charles Leclerc at 110 to his 104, and then Jackson passes, well, no, they're tied for points yet again, 96 points each. Yuki Tsunoda pulling behind them at 9th with 48 points. And then Andrea Kimi Antonelli trying to score some decent points to stay in the top 10 as he's trying to chase down Yuki Tsunoda. Going over to the constructors standings, we're still trying to push our lead against Mercedes as we're trying to catch up from Red Bull. About a 40-point difference, 47 to 89. I don't know the quick math, but all the teams are on the board for points. And yeah, so very interesting race here. If it was a bug that I don't know of, please let me know in the description. And see you guys in the next one.